So here's a real problem. If you've got a book that is eternal and has no difficulties, no errors, then how can you get Mary wrong? Mary, the mother of Jesus, completely confused. Watch and see. We're going to unpack it right here.
We're talking about internal problems, historical events that the Quran actually either butchered or denied that certain events did take place, like, for instance, denying the crucifixion of Christ. Today is no exception. We are going to add more such anachronism to this series, but we're going to start with one of my favorite ones, and you'll see why in a second. Dr. J, so what is the next historical issue that you are going to highlight for us today?
Mary. And I know you like this one.
Of course.
This is why we're going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy listening to you really wax eloquently on this one. Why? Because Mary is the mother of Jesus, well known in both Islam and Christianity, very popular. Certainly, the most common name given to Jesus is Isa ibn Maryam. Isa ibn Maryam.
And Muslims will tell you
times.
we have a whole chapter named after her, chapter 19.
That's right, 19.
Yeah.
So it's obviously she's very popular. Nothing about Joseph. Isn't that interesting in the Quran? Mm-hmm. Lots about Mary. So they really do like Mary. And of course, the Mary they're talking about is the mother of Jesus over and over and over again. That Mary. Here's the problem. There are certain references which confuse another Mary that goes along with it. Let's go to the slides and let's put them up. In chapter 19, verse 28, there on the slide, you'll see that it says, "O Mary, you have certainly done a thing unprecedented, O sister of Aaron." So it's talking about Mary, the mother of Jesus, who is the sister of Aaron. Immediately, you can see there are problems with that. Chapter 66, verse 12. "And Miriam, who is the mother of Jesus, the daughter of Imran, who guarded her chastity." That's why she was a virgin. When she had Jesus, she was.
Yeah, chapter 66, verse 12, by the way, this is the last verse in that particular chapter, is terrible. It has some graphic descriptions of what Allah did.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that right now.
Exactly.
But we do know that this is talking about Mary, the mother of Jesus, obviously, because of her chastity and what it says about how Jesus was born. Now, obviously, this Miriam in chapter 6 is the daughter of Imran. Aaron and Imran, we know, don't we? Imran is Amran in the Hebrew, the same word, the same name, Imran, and he's the father of
Moses
and Mary and Aaron.
Their sister Miriam.
That's right. Two brothers and a sister have Imran. So you can see this is a problem. Let's go back to the slide here. This is a problem, but then chapter 20, verse 30, it compounds the problem because then it says, "Oh, Aaron, Moses' brother." So it's very clear that Moses and Aaron are brothers,
right.
But Aaron is the brother of Moses, who is both of them are the sons of Imran, who is Imran in the Bible. Yet this is their sister is Miriam, the same name who is the mother of Jesus.
Right.
So
in Arabic, it is Miriam. That's right.
It's the same word, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So can you see a difficulty here?
I see. And you know what, brother? It's examples like this that tell me.
What's the difficulty first called? When did Miriam and Aaron and Moses live?
Well, that was what?
1400 BC.
That's right. From the time of Muhammad, 2,000 years earlier. I mean,
that's right. 1,400 years earlier. You can see a difficulty here. Yeah. How can this same Mary have lived, unless she was a very old Mary? 1,400 years, I don't think of anybody that can live that long.
That's right.
So this is a huge historical anachronism.
Yeah, 1,400 years from time of Jesus, 2,000 years from the time of Muhammad, and yet Muhammad butchered it completely. And I can see why. And those kind of examples, by the way, in the Quran, give me sometimes the idea that it's possible that the Jews messed with him because they hated Jesus, obviously, and they just gave him these false information. That's number one. Or it is quite possible Islam has its origin from Christianity, and then it became at least heretical cult.
Okay, now the comeback. Muslims will come back to you. And let's go look at the slide. What they'll say is, no. This Amran is not really the problem. We're not talking about Mary, the sister and the daughter of Amran, the sister of Moses and Aaron. We're talking about the line of the Levitical line,
genealogy,
the genealogical line, and therefore Amran is actually the real father of the Mary in the New Testament as well. No, that is not the case. And the way to confront that, and this is what I would suggest anybody who is watching, is just to open up first Matthew 1 and then Luke 3. Look at the two genealogical lists. There are two genealogical lists there. In Matthew 1, it is the list of Joseph's lineage. and it goes through from all the way up to David, through
from Abraham all
Solomon.
the way down. Yeah.
But from David through Solomon, that's what you need to look at. David, who is and who's going to be in the throne of David, going through Solomon. It goes through, and I forgot the name now, Jeconiah. Jeconiah is the person that's referred to in Jeremiah. And Jeconiah had two sons that were evil. And that's why it says in Jeremiah 31, on whose, because of what you have done, no one is good from your line is going to sit on the throne of David.
End up skipping.
That's right. So it did not go through that line anymore. So therefore, Joseph is the wrong line. He is not the line that anybody can sit on. That's why Matthew writes it down there. He puts it down there and goes through Joseph to then, of course, Jesus. Luke then picks up this theme and says, hold on a minute. Jesus didn't come from Joseph. Remember, Joseph had nothing to do with his birth.
Yeah, he's just adopted father.
It was Mary who was the one that bore Jesus, not Joseph. There was no seed.
Yeah, but there's
Joseph.
no problems here. We don't want to create as if there is a problem. Luke is explaining it from a bloodline.
So what is he saying? Yeah. Who you thought was Joseph.
Exactly.
That's why he's putting it out there.
Exactly.
Who you thought was Joseph. No, this is not true. See the line. This line is the Heli is the father. It's not Jacob who's the father of Joseph. Sorry, can you see the problem there? It is Heli, and then he goes and gives the whole lineage all the way up to David through Nathan. So that lineage comes through Nathan down to Heli, who you thought was Joseph, but no, Jesus didn't have a father, remember? He's trying to remind them.
Even Muslims know that, yeah.
And even Muslims know that because in chapter 19, verse 20 of the Quran, it's very clear that he was born from a virgin.
That's right.
So that's why Muslims need to be careful. If they're going to try to say this is a Levitical line, no. This is very clear that Amram is not the father of the grandfather of Jesus. It is Heli who is the grandfather of Mary. Therefore, grandfather of Jesus through Mary.
But even this claim, this response, which I've heard many times, of course, from our Muslim friends, directly or through others, the phrase itself in chapter 19, verse 28, "O sister of Aaron," is wrong because it should have been, "O daughter of Aaron." You know what I mean? If you're coming from the lineage.
If you're in the Levitical line.
Exactly.
Great point. I hadn't thought of that, but that's brilliant because it should be, right, you can't be a sister if you're in the Levitical line. You have to be a daughter of it.
Right.
Lineage. So that's the first one there. Now, let's go back to the slides again. Let's bring up one more, and this is number 6 that we're looking at. And this is the problem with Mecca itself. Now, you might say this is a historical anachronism. This is also an internal anachronism. This is a real problem. Because the
Quran talks about it.
The Quran refers to it over and over. Now, the Quran, okay, let's be careful. The Quran doesn't mention Mecca.
Except
Muslims,
one time by...
Chapter 48, verse 24.
With the wrong description also.
That's right. So you can see that this is a difficult... In chapter 48, verse 24 is the only place that it's mentioned. Let's put that up on the screen there so we see it. That's the only place it's mentioned. But every Muslim, whenever it says Masjid al-Haram, it says it's referring to the Mecca. That's what they claim today. So let's take them at their word and let's go ahead and we're looking at the Quran internally. This is the claims they make. Let's assume that this is always Mecca. So in chapter 3, verse 96, it's the first sanctuary appointed for mankind was that at Mecca. In chapter 6, verse 92, and in chapter 42, verse 7, it's the mother of all settlements. In chapter 7, verse 24, it's where Adam and Eve were thrown down to, it's where Eve was thrown down to. Adam was thrown down to Sri Lanka, and he was 90 feet tall. Boom, 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 boom. He walked from Sri Lanka up, and there he is.
Quite a walker, man.
He is quite a walker. And then, of course, chapter 21, verse 51 to 7, you have Abraham going into the Masjid al-Haram and destroying all the Kaabas. Every Muslim believes that's Mecca. And then, of course, then you have in chapter of the tradition, it says very clearly that was Muhammad was born. And then chapter 2, verse 149 and 150, you have the Qibla being changed from...
Which doesn't tell us Mecca. But
it says Masjid al-Haram again. It's always Masjid al-Haram.
Implied, you know.
So these above imply people here live there from the very beginning because you can't get anybody earlier than Adam and Eve. If they were thrown from heaven or from the Garden of Eden down to Mecca, what earlier settlement can you have? You have to have people to have settlements. So it's the earliest inhabitation of mankind. Now, let's go back to the slide. Yet we can't find any reference to Mecca until 741, till the 8th century, over 100 years after Muhammad. Can you see a problem here? This is a huge anachronism. There was no Mecca that early, and there certainly was no Mecca at the time of Abraham in 1900 BC. And to go all the way back to Adam and Eve, you cannot find any Mecca there. So you've got a real problem. We can't find it on any maps. We can't find it in any of the historians. Ptolemy never references Mecca at all. In all of his book on the geography of Arabia, there is not any reference to it. There's no mosque that is facing Mecca. All the Qiblas are facing Petra or Jerusalem, much further north. In every case, coming and going, Mecca is off the map. And that's why this is a internal contradiction.
Yeah, and like I said, it's fascinating to me that Mecca is mentioned one time by correct name. If we want to add chapter 3, verse 96, Becca actually is a valley that is found in Lebanon leading to Jerusalem. So if you're using for instance, the Jerusalem thesis to prove the origin of Islam and some of its rituals, this is damaging. This shows that it is close to that area, actually. Yeah. But nevertheless, even if you would take it at face value and say it twice, Jerusalem was mentioned hundreds of times in the Bible.
Yeah.
Hundreds of times.
And outside of it's one of the most historical cities, along with Damascus. Those are the two most historical cities in that whole part of the world. So, if Mecca is the oldest and is the greatest and is supposedly the most historical, why can't we have one reference to it? Even one, until 741.
On the maps, exactly. And I think it was Patricia Cronin.
That wasn't on a map. That was on a document. That was a Continuum Byzantia Arabica, right, which placed it up in southern Turkey. It even got him in the wrong place. Nonetheless, that's the first reference we have, not till the 8th century AD.
Very good. Thank you so much. And everyone, hopefully you're enjoying this. And next time, we will have yet another one or two of such historical anachronisms to show you that the Quran is filled with so many of these. In fact, as Dr. J mentioned at the beginning of this series, even finding one will shoot down the claim that the Quran is a divinely inspired book by a perfect God who knows history at its best, who supposedly is the author of history in and of itself. Until next episode, have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And ring the bell so you will be notified when we release new content. Our mission is to reach Muslims with the gospel of Jesus Christ and help Christians engage with their Muslim neighbors. If you want to join us in this life-changing work, please support us on patreon.com/Sira International, or just click on the link below.